Oh, we're teeing. We're teeing iced tea today.
Mine's iced tea
Iced tea.
too.
That would
Oh,
have been a good
biscuit.
idea.
I
It is
have
quite warm.
green. This is
Mine's
my,
just plain
my
green
drink.
tea.
Iced tea doesn't steam, neither does this really.
Hello, Graham.
Hello, Faith, and forgive me, but you're almost upstaged by. Is that the tree? Is that the one with the buds and the snow on it?
This is
Golly.
this is the tree right outside my
It's
window that I
gorgeous.
look at every day. If any of you out there know what flower this is, please let me know, because it's beautiful and it's all over my neighborhood and I have no clue.
I'm sure we'll get wonderful answers. I'm looking forward to it. Good.
So welcome back, everyone, to Tea at 3. I'm Faith Schmidt. This is Graham Kerr.
Thank you.
So last week, I brought up the idea of thinking about how nature affects us, the impact that it has on me personally. Things like, a lot of times it's referred to like seasonal affective disorder, or however that's said. In the winter I'm sad, in the summer I'm happy, and trying to think more about like what is it about sunshine and nature that has that effect on me. So we've talked before about being people who are working and willing and excited to protect and preserve nature. And kind of what I want to talk about and what we've been thinking about this week is more why and how it affects us. So why do I want to be someone who is preserving and protecting nature? Yeah. Do you have any initial thoughts that you'd like to say, Graham?
There's a couple which I will attempt to be brief. My life is to attempt to be brief. I have a fern outside my window here, so I am actually seeing it like you see your plant. And that fern in the winter, I had cut down completely. It was just bare stalks. I'd run a clipper over the top of it. There wasn't anything green about it. It was just brown stalks. And then I noticed on the top of one of those stalks a little green curl of a tight little leaf. And I paid it some attention. And as I went day by day, it started to grow, and other little things started to come in their place. And I took a photograph of it so you can actually see that now. And then about 3 weeks later, all of a sudden, there are all these little green fingers are sticking up. And then another 2 or 3 weeks, and these arms are reaching out towards me. And I sit out there, and it's as if these, and in the vaguest little bit of breeze, these ferns just shudder towards me like this. And I've got this feeling that the fern knows that I'm there, and that I would like to feel that there's something going on in all of creation which is bursting forth and hugging me. And that's the sort of way, and I've been looking at that, and I planted some forget-me-nots in front of it because Trina loved forget-me-nots. And I just see forget-me-nots, and I said, all right, darling, I'm not forgetting you, So I put that there, and these leaves are now surrounding the forget-me-nots. So all of this, my whole week has been spent looking at things growing and bursting around me. Thank you. It's just made me feel, of course it's worth protecting.
Yeah, we have such an intimate relationship with nature. I think all of the times in my life that I have felt the most awed that I have ever felt are always like looking at mountaintops or like a lake or a river. Like it's always in the middle of a landscape of some kind. Like that's almost an undescribable feeling, but I'm sure one that everyone has had is the like you're speechless. Like, I can't believe that this exists. And like, of course it does. The world, nature is the world. That's what the world is. But why is that something that is so amazing to me? Like, it's such a curious relationship.
And is it a little bit like Christmas? And you're opening, there's a package there with your name on it, and you're just so interested about unwrapping it, and then it's something you really like, and it's really thoughtful. Your mom and dad really nailed it. They did it, and there's a squeal of delight in a sense. Yay! So is this a thing? Is this something that we could say that God actually unwraps for us, that it's a gift for us, and that's why we love it so much? We're not praising him as we look at the view, but in a sense, when it takes our breath away, we probably are. Yeah. So I think that's just true. Have you ever laid on your back at nighttime in a very dark night where there's no ambient light around and looked up at those stars? Have you ever been in a place like that?
Yeah, I love that.
Ooh, beam me up, Scotty.
There's so many stars out there. That's a whole other like mind-boggling thing to think about.
Now tell me, have you reached that stage when you would actually chain yourself to a tree rather than have it cut down? I mean, have you reached that level of what is called tree hugger?
I don't know. I mean, I've never been put in a situation where that was a choice that that I could have made. I feel I think that if it's really hard to imagine that tangibly, like if this person was going to cut down this specific tree, would you chain yourself to it?
Yeah. Let me put you in the Amazon. Let me put you in the Amazon, and let me show you a whole bunch of people cutting down several hundred trees, and you're in that location at that time. How would you feel about clearing the Amazon rainforest in order to be able to put more cows on it, to be able to create more beef? How would you feel then?
I mean, I hope that doesn't happen. I think that if I thought the right thing to do was to chain myself to a tree and then that would make an impact, that's what I would do. But I think my first instinct is to think of a different way.
Of course, and I agree with you completely there. I'm not prepared to chain myself to a tree. But am I prepared to do something? And if that is something, what is that something? What am I prepared to do? So what are you prepared to? Well, what have you done already because of this feeling that you've got? Is there anything that you know that you've actually done that is discernible and observable by somebody else?
I think I've made a lot of small choices, like choosing to purchase less plastic, and the plastic I do buy, I reuse a lot and then recycle. I haven't bought paper towels in like 3 years. I just like there are little choices that like are steps towards this.
So if somebody came in and watched you do this and say, do you have a paper towel? And say, no, I don't buy paper towels. Why is that? You see, then you are going to say something. It's just something little something that I do, which I think makes a difference, right?
Yeah. I mean,
you don't have to change. In other words, you don't have to chain yourself to something.
Yeah.
If you're doing something, at least you're putting one step in front of the other because of your passion for this.
Yeah, and I know that there's like a million more things that I could be doing, and I know like I'm hopeful to do more throughout my life. But it is comforting to know that there are like little changes that can eventually like build up to a positive impact, like not buying paper towels.
Sure. Well, I got out of a gas-driven car and a hybrid, and I got into an emission-free. It's a Leaf, Nissan Leaf, and I don't have to drive very large distances. It's really inconvenient from that point. But back and forth all the time, it's absolutely amazing. And I found out that I save $145 a month on driving, the gas versus the Leap. So I took $100 of that, and I took it out of my budget, and I'm paying off that Leaf at $100 a month. I wanted to make a donation to the betterment of the world. So I've taken it out of my available funds, and I'm actually paying it out so that I can have that car and be able to run it. But it's enough to know that I am spending less, and I'm doing less potential harm. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I think that there are a lot of very good things that we can continue to do and talk about that help preserve nature. I think more of what I'm interested in right now is like why we personally choose to do those things. Like, we breathe the oxygen that the trees make, that then we make CO2 for them. They make oxygen for us, and we have such this like physical relationship. Yeah. And it's not like I'm not thinking of like really any sort of logical reason. I don't know. I can't figure out what I'm trying to say.
Do you know what you're describing to me is indescribable?
Yeah, maybe that's why.
Because you see, you can't measure it. It's something that you are talking about that you can't measure. Therefore, it's coming from another source of understanding. You are tapping into something that you really can't measure. And that's what people don't like. They always want us somehow to put a dollar value or a time limit thing on things. And then you've got their attention because they can somehow prove it. And you and I can't prove the fact that we're just in love with going outside and seeing everything that's been done so brilliantly and intricately and interactively. It's just watching life in motion. And it's astounding and wonderful. And you just want to shout, you know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look at, like, these plants are amazing.
Yes, and my fern, like, which is doing this. You know. So, it's my turn.
Yes, sir.
Right? Somebody wrote to me.
I'm fascinated. I like how the answer to my how does nature impact me, it sort of ended up being, well, it's really undescribable. It took us this whole conversation to come down to, like, I don't know.
Do you know, and it's okay to say, I don't know. What it's saying is, I am passionate about something that I do not have to measure. Mm-hmm. I don't measure, it's beyond my measurement. This is something so significant for me that it means everything. It means I have a place to go. It means I have some silent time in the company of these plants that recharge me at a level that I don't understand. That's perfectly okay. I think it's wonderful. And that helps me a lot too, to be able to look at the same sort of things and get more out rather than just walk past it. Mm-hmm. Dear God, if we can't measure it and walk past it, then there's something terribly wrong about life. Yeah. So, okay, it's my turn. Somebody wrote to me the other day and said, do you guys take turns of coming up with something to talk about? I said, yes. I said, do you get together and work that out beforehand? I said, no, we don't. In fact, that's exactly why we actually want to be able to encounter something which may be worth thinking about for a whole week before we start yammering on about what we feel about it. We spent a whole week pondering this, and we don't have anything measurable. We just have a wonderful excitement about it. So that's good. So I want to go back a week and when I went on and on and on and began to sermonize. This is not a sermon program. You are a Christian, I'm a Christian, we feel this way, and we do not always have to be measured by certain words which we come up with so as to qualify ourselves, as such. But what happened, I went on much too long on all the people wanting to kill Jesus and everything, which is completely superfluous to what we were talking about. There wasn't a good segue in our conversation, so I apologize for that. So anyway, what we did, we limited that down, and in limiting that down, we actually did something quite extraordinary. I thought I had it. Anyway, I don't. There is something, if I look into the future at the moment, this is what I'd like us to ponder. I think there is a future for mankind. There's another group of people who feel that we're really coming to the end of it, and this is all very destructive, and so wave the world goodbye. And I really don't feel that, because of something that actually Jesus said. And please, I'm not sermonizing here, but he said, love God with all your heart, with all your soul and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. He put the two of those scriptures together. And he said, upon the joining of these two together depends all the law and all the prophets. So that means to me, everything depends upon that combination of words that he said. Just loving God and loving your neighbor as yourself. And I could see that when I put on a mask and to go into the store, I don't do that to save myself from breathing in a virus. I say that should I have come and touched something and transferred it to myself, and I'm not yet feeling sick, but I can shed that virus, I am saving another person from me. Mm-hmm. So I am loving my neighbor as myself. And the whole world is being asked to practice this at the moment. And to some degree, the whole world is doing it. And so that says, I go back 2,000 years, and here's this guy saying exactly what it is that we're doing. So what we managed to do was we actually cut the program down enough so that we took out part of that, which was love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. The second part we had intact, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, hey, everybody's doing that, but not everybody is connecting that with loving God. And that's the thing. And I can't get anybody to love God until they understand how much God loves them. And that there are some people who just see Christians like me, who say something ill-advised, and I really tick people off. They just don't like me because I just mentioned a word that for them has a really bad feeling. It smells. And I don't want to behave like that to those people. I really don't want to do that, but yet occasionally, apparently, I just do. And I just wonder whether we haven't, as Christians, been far too critical and judgmental of the world around us. And as a result, we're just getting a bit of feedback at the moment from people who say, hey, you put your finger in my chest and you told me that I shouldn't do this and that God hates that. And as far as I'm concerned, get out of my life. I don't care about you and your God. Bye. And that's, you see, now there was a scripture, and now this is almost a sermon. If you judge, you will be judged by the same measure that you used. Take the plank out of your own eye first before you start trying to get it out of somebody else's. And I'm just sorry about that. So what I'd like to ponder is, how can you and I talk about our life without it sounding being religious? I don't want to be religiosity. I don't like it. And I don't want to get involved in politics, and I don't want to get involved in dividing up things and pointing my fingers at people. So how do we do that and still be able to say Jesus said something without it sounding bad? Is there a way that we can do this, do you think? Do you feel that that's worth talking about? Pondering.
This is like, this is like everything that makes me nervous about like recognizing, talking about Christianity on this, in this program.
Yes.
I think, yeah, I mean, although,
it isn't easy, darling, and that's the reason I raised it, because I think you and I have reached a stage now when we can be very real and transparent with each other, and it's just the two of us. We're being observed by some other people, but it really is just about you and I. Yeah.
I think, I think that my faith is very personal. And there is so much stigma around it that I do not really ever bring it up in a public way.
Yes.
I am sure there are ways to peaceably converse about it. And I hope that we can find those.
No. Do you know something? People don't stop to think. They simply knee-jerk react. And I love you because you don't do that. You're not just, you are pondering this, and because you didn't know I was going to raise this. But it's fair enough. We're actually going to post the unabridged, unedited version of that previous discussion that we had, and the edited version. And I know that I went on too long. I understand that, and I really want to be much briefer in the things that I do. But at the same time, I went through 40 years of life just doing my thing without the slightest interest in God at all. And then at that 41st year, I made such a brief, very quick U-turn. And all of a sudden, I had another set of eyes and ears, and I began to see things differently. And in doing so, I actually got my wife, Trina, back to the place when she had the tools by which she could forgive me, which she'd been unable to do for 9 years. And I fell in love with her again, and she fell in love with me. And we owed everything that we knew about the joy of this life to this experience that I had. So I don't look back at this like a religious thing. I look back as it is a relationship that has, I am so grateful. And to be so grateful and not say I'm grateful for my source of my gratitude is difficult for me. So it's something that I actually need to be able to do, but I need to do it in a way that doesn't offend people. I don't want to offend. And I think some of that offense is due to the fact that for too long now, the Christian world has been pointing its finger at the rest of society and tell them that they're wrong. And there's just no way that we can escape that becoming negative. And I just want to love. I just want to love. And I want to celebrate loving. I want to feel joy in loving. I don't want to have to edit myself, you know? So we've just, I want to ponder that for a week, okay? And if at home you would ponder that with the two of us, you can see us, that Faith is 26 and looking at a long life ahead of her. I am 86 and I'm looking for maybe 10 years. And I found out the day before yesterday, I've had a cancer in my body, which has been surgically removed and had to go through 3 months updates to find out whether it's gone altogether. And I found out the day before yesterday, it's gone. So that means I'm probably going to last 10 years. I was thinking it might be happening sooner. But I can tell you the one thing that is somewhat different than is when you are younger, you have such a time ahead. And when you're older, it's really quite soon. And that business, which is I'm going to die someday, and then what, becomes actually more interesting and more telling, I think, in a way. I don't expect God to wave his finger at me and say, you didn't do this, and you had an opportunity for that. No, come on. This is nothing like. He's going to put his arms, so to speak, around me and give me the biggest hug I have ever experienced in my life. And I'm going to be absorbed into all the love that eternity can provide. And I literally, in a way, I can't wait for that to be the case. It just gives me joy to think about it. So I'm going to ponder this. Will you ponder it with me during the week?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, this week, discuss and involve our religion, which is a huge part of our lives, in a way that is not divisive or political or anything like that, but a way that is welcoming and from a place of love. So we have a lot to think about. This is quite a lot. But we will be back to you next week. This has been Tea at 3. I'm Faye Schmidt. This is Graham Kerr. We'll see you next week.
Love you, darling. God bless you.
You too. And something I frequently forget, something that would help us out with this program, we are currently being sponsored by GK Film, a documentary film about Graham's life. And in order for this program to grow and become a little bit self-sustaining, it would really help us if you left a like, a comment, and subscribed. Thanks.
I said, out there, number 1. And Graham said,
beam me up, Scotty.
who knew Graham Kerr is a Trekkie?